Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Squad Goals Podcast. I am your host, Gabe Walerzik, and with me across the table, I have Seth. He is our co-star.
What is up, guys?
And across the phone, we have Mr. Simon Espejo, our other co-star. Say what's up.
What is good?
Hey, all right. So we got the crew back together. And today, guys, we are going to be talking about the round of 16, recapping all 8 of the past matches that have happened in the 2022 Qatar World Cup. And what a real downer of a way to start this then, with the Netherlands against the United States of America. Going right into it, I mean, both of you guys, and so was I, we were very hopeful, and we were very, we were optimistic about the United States' chances against the Netherlands. And throughout the game, they felt like they had a chance. There were multiple opportunities that the United States had to, to close the game out and to at least get themselves either a lead or to close the gap against the Netherlands. But I think a mixture of just poor defending and a lack of adaptation to the Netherlands' beautiful midfield play just kind of screwed us over in the end. But how did you guys respond, react, and analyze this? How did you guys, feel about this 3-1 loss to the Netherlands?
Yeah, I mean, the Dutch, they're always a tough team to play. No matter the opponent, they just have quality all around the pitch. But for me, I mean, the big difference in this game was the fullbacks for the Dutch. I mean, Dumfries and Daily Blend were just perfect in that game. I mean, Dumfries with a goal and 2 assists, Blend with a goal. They really just put in strong performances for their team, and that really was ultimately the difference. And yeah, I mean, the Dutch, they just, even though they didn't have much possession, I mean, they just, when they did get on the ball and they did create their chances with good counterattacks, I mean, it was their beautiful combination play in the middle of the field that was just really nice to watch. It allowed them to create those strong chances by getting the ball out wide quickly, getting numbers up the field, and then it was that really dangerous low-driven ball into the box that got us not only once but twice. And that was just our inability to track back, our midfielders' inability to track back, our defenses was kind of sleeping a little bit on all 3 of the goals, honestly.
Not just a little bit, a lot of it, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was just it was a lack of experience. It was the inexperience for the Americans that ultimately decided this game. And I mean, you talk about the U.S., right? They had quite a few failed opportunities. I mean, you start with the Pulisic chance in like the 3rd minute. You got to finish that if you're Christian Pulisic. You got to put that in the back of the net. That gets the U.S. confidence. We're up 1-0 very early, but obviously it was a great save by the keeper, and it doesn't go our way there. Obviously, Tim Ream had a good chance with a dangerous ball into the box and a set piece. We don't even want to talk about Haji Wright's missed chance where he took that touch. That was just unacceptable. But yeah, we missed our chances. We did dominate the possession, but that ultimately didn't matter. The Dutch just, were much better than us and on the counterattack, and they were able to finish their chances, and we weren't. I mean, what the U.S. really need is a strong number 9 who can score goals. That's what we're lacking. We don't have that guy. We don't have that, Memphis Depay that the Dutch have, right? And yeah, I just think this is a good learning curve for the U.S. Still a very young team. I think they'll be able to come back in 4 years and make even a bigger statement. But yeah, I mean, just a lack of concentration and experience. I mean, the third goal was completely unacceptable. When Haji Wright got us back into that game with that very weird flick goal that he scored, we thought there was a chance, right? And then, no.
The most insane goal of the entire tournament. And I don't mean it like it was very like it was good. Like it was just so weird.
Right, right. And we just we fell asleep at the back post there on that third goal. One that was the dagger. It really was. Dumfries, beautiful volley goal, and there was just no coming back from that. But I will say though, to something to discredit the Dutch for going into their quarterfinal game against Argentina is I think they need to be pretty careful conceding a lot of possession against better opposition like Argentina because we had a lot of possession, the United States, and we just, the quality wasn't there for us. We weren't able to finish our chances, but you cede a lot of possession to a team like Argentina, you can be in for a long day. Mm-hmm. So, but the Dutch did what they had to do, closed out a good game, and they're on, and we're not.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you said it so well. It was a very good performance from them. They knew that they could just sit back because of how strong they are defensively, which is exactly what they did. And against stronger offensive teams, that's not going to work out. But against the U.S., they were still they were able to catch us out on every single counterattack, and it was completely unacceptable, like you said.
Yeah.
I had a decent game. We created so many chances, and it's just the lack of ability to finish them, which really hurt us.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, there's they pretty much said it all. Very good performance from the Dutch. They took advantage of every single opportunity, and it just goes to show that we just didn't have that level of experience or quality. But I'm hopeful for the future, and we definitely can improve off of this loss because this was a potential win for us. We did not deserve to lose this game.
Yeah, I agree.
We're gonna be set for the next World Cup.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think the despite the loss to the Netherlands, the USA looks pretty good. All things considered, just got to get a couple things fixed with the lineup and just maybe add a couple more pieces and to see how we go from there. So I think the US overall, despite the loss, is in a pretty decent hands. We might have to maybe dedicate an episode to the U.S. men's national team after the World Cup finishes, just to analyze how they did this entire tournament and to analyze their team going forward. But we'll talk about that in the future. But regardless, Netherlands move on to the quarterfinals, and Seth mentioned it already. They will be playing Argentina, who in the round of 16 defeated Australia 2-1. Now, I mean, Australia pretty much dominated this game, but why was it only a one-score game? That's the main question.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in our previous video. A lot of people were expecting, an Argentina blowout here, right? But I didn't think that was the case at all. I mean, you saw how Australia was able to frustrate their opponents in the group stage, whether that was Denmark or Tunisia. And I had a feeling they were going to do the same to Argentina, especially because, Argentina haven't looked the best or what we expected them to be. And yeah, that's exactly what they did. I mean, they made it really frustrating for them. Australia, I mean, their brand of football is all of their players covering a lot of ground and tackling any player that moves with the ball. Very aggressive on defense, and very structured on defense as well. But yeah, I gotta say though, for Argentina, still wasn't the best performance. I mean, everything just went through Messi, and without Messi, I think this team would be in a really bad spot.
Yeah,
and
I like that you said that because that was one of Messi's best performances on the international level. Every time he touched the ball, he had an opportunity. And even though Argentina didn't play at their best, especially Lautaro Martinez, I don't even want to talk about him missing all those. But yeah. Messi was amazing in that game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that first goal, I mean, it was just such great positioning. That's just such a high IQ play by Messi. Initially starting from a free kick, able to get himself in a good position inside the 18 and scoring his famous, beautiful left curler into the back of the net. Um, but yeah, Argentina is gonna need to, you know, they're gonna need more playmakers to step up if they're gonna want to make an even deeper run in this World Cup. Um, I mean, they're gonna need to do more pressing in the middle of the field, and especially out on the wings, against a tough Dutch team, right? And Yeah, I will say though that Argentina's defense actually impressed me. Um, I mean, you saw the height and the stature of the Australian team. They're big boys, right? But And Argentina's a pretty small team, but um, Argentina's defense was able to, match the intensity, the physicality of that Australian attack, which I thought was really impressive to see. Probably the most impressive part of Argentina's game, actually. Um, and yeah, that was really good to see. Um, Australia obviously got back into the game late, like you said, had a couple of moments right at the end where they could have tied it up, but looked super
That was an insane
dangerous.
run against Argentina, which
Yeah,
was very getting through almost their entire defense, but your man from Man U making a beautiful slide to save the game for Argentina.
that's what he does. That's what he does. Best signing of the summer for sure. Just a wall for us and for Argentina. But yeah, that would have been a crazy goal from Australia if Martinez didn't get a foot on that, because that was going in the back of the net for sure.
Mm.
Um, but Yeah, I gotta say, um, Argentina, they missed Di Maria that game. That's a point I wanted to bring up. Obviously, Di Maria was injured and wasn't playing that game, but they missed him because they really struggled to produce out wide, which is where they were trying to produce, and the quality just wasn't quite there. And you need somebody with that experience who can produce those chances like Di Maria to really, you know, um, give you a better chance at scoring, basically from out wide or putting more dangerous balls into the box. Um,
Yeah,
and
I just want to add to that little statement. I completely agree. Di Maria is one of the, I guess one of the most well known players to step up in big games.
yeah,
Um, he's always there. He scored against France in 2018. He scored the game winner in the Copa America. Like, this guy steps up and he scores goals when he needs to score goals, which can't be said for all the other players on that team. And you can really tell that the lack of him is causing problems. And hopefully he'll be back soon, because he is just a goal scoring machine for Argentina. And he's not just a great playmaker or winger, but like, this guy actually can shoot from anywhere pretty much.
yeah, no, for sure, completely agree with you. Um, And yeah, or even though Argentina, though, they were able to slow the game down, it's not what they wanted to do, but Australia's just got a very strong, structured defense. Argentina wasn't able to really play at the pace they're accustomed to, and that's ultimately for me what led to this game being super close. Um, Also, yeah, we don't need to talk about their strikers. I mean, Lautaro Martinez has just looked very poor this whole World Cup. Can't finish any chances. Julian Alvarez has given them a little spark. He did score their second goal. That was some really good pressure by him to disrupt the goalkeeper Matt Ryan
I
and score
I
that
think that
goal.
was actually I think that was actually DePaul that made that pressure work.
You
Because he
might
was the
be
one that
right.
stepped to the ball, and then that caused a slip up, which ended up in the goal afterwards. But I think it was mainly due to DePaul's pressure, which is pretty much the only thing that he's actually contributing to the team. Because aside from that, his control of the ball is not there.
Don't forget about him being Messi's bodyguard as well. He contributes to that as
Oh
well.
yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it was DePaul that got the pressure. But I think, but Alvarez was just, I mean, he's the striker, so he was ultimately up there and was able to get that ball and score that second goal, which ultimately saved Argentina at the end of the day. But I'm a little nervous for them against the Dutch here. They haven't looked like that team that World Cup favorite that we all thought they were gonna be, and this is gonna be their biggest test here. So it's gonna be a good game to see.
Will be a very good game to see. Got any other words, Simone, about this game?
No, I completely agree. I'm very excited for it. And yeah, I mean, I want Argentina to win, but I don't know. As long as the Dutch produce another tactic compared to the way that they played against the U.S., they'll still have a chance as well. So this is going to be a very close and a real test for both. So I can't wait.
Yeah, this will be a good one for sure. And yeah, it's happening today when you guys watch this, or it probably already happened. So yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch for sure. But next up, let's talk about the next games on the round of 16. Next up, we have France going up against Poland. And oh boy, Seth, France barely escaped this one with their lives, didn't they? Because Poland kept it very close.
Yeah, not at all.
No, no.
Yeah, this was not even close. As Polak fans, it was very tough to see.
We were 0-2 this in the round of 16 today. It was kind of rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kylian Mbappe is just built different, is what we've learned.
Yeah, I mean, Kylian Mbappe is him. He's him. I mean, he is the most informed player right now at the World Cup. He is the best player, in my opinion, at the World Cup right now. I mean, he is unstoppable. Unstoppable. Nobody's been able to touch him. I mean, his two goals were sublime. Just beautiful shots, beautiful goals, especially the second one. That curler was gorgeous. But yeah, he is a problem. He is such a problem, just such a threat on that wing. Can beat anyone one-on-one, has incredible pace, unmatched pace, an ability to dribble on the ball, chop on the ball so quickly. He's just extremely dangerous, and is going to be a problem for England for sure. Yeah, just talking about the game for a little bit, right? I mean, for me, yeah, France was just aside from Mbappe as a whole, they looked pretty damn good, right? I mean, for me, what really stood out in this one was no Benzema, no problem, right? That's something I wrote down here in my notes because I thought Giroud looked incredible this game. I mean, him and Mbappe have formed a pretty good partnership up top with Giroud's experience and Mbappe's explosiveness. It's a good
I
combo
mean,
to have.
Giroud literally bicycle kick in that game, but they didn't count it because they blew the whistle before it went in. But he scored a valid bicycle kick. He's in insane form right now.
Yeah, he looks really good. And yeah, our Polish defense just could not contain that dynamic and explosive French attack, whether that was Giroud, Mbappe. You don't even forget about Dembele. He put in a pretty good game. He made some very dangerous runs, was very threatening on his wing as well. But something I will note about France that could be a little concerning against England was their defense. It was rattled a few times by us, especially late in that first half. I don't know
Poland
how
had a few chances there.
I don't know how we didn't get that goal when we had like 3 shots in a row and it just kept rebounding and like we should have scored there. That was ridiculous. But yeah, those are moments where France's defense looks a little out of shape, a little rattled, a little uncomfortable, you can almost say. So they can definitely be exposed. As we were certainly piling on the pressure at the end of the half, and then once the second half started, we just were like, nah, we're good. Let's just let France
I
keep
mean, that
attacking.
pressure,
So
it was great. Yeah, it was great, but it did not last for very long. But I feel like if there was a more, I guess,
urgency.
Yeah, like and it wasn't just like I feel like if a bigger team, just a team that has a stronger midfield and a team that can actually play the ball through,
Yeah,
they could definitely have chances in because Poland did make some good opportunities, but you could
yeah,
see that there is space for a lot more. So
yeah,
that is for at least that is good news for England.
yeah. No, I completely agree. Again, I've stated in our last couple of podcasts here, and once again, they just didn't do it really well, but they didn't get Lewandowski involved enough. I've
Yep.
been saying it. He's your best player, one of the best strikers in the world, and we just can't get him the ball. And he had very few touches in this game, and you saw one of his first touches was a shot that just missed wide of the post. That was almost a screamer. Imagine if he got like 10 or 15 of those kind of touches.
Mm.
Like, it's just he's such a dangerous player at the ball when the ball's at his feet, especially around the top of the 18. And we just couldn't get him the ball, and it was very disappointing to see from a tactical standpoint. Um, so that definitely hurt us in that game. And then somebody I just want to note who had a great tournament, Chesney, great tournament.
Yeah.
He made some great saves for us, but France was just too overwhelming in this game, right? And a little too much for Chesney to contain. I mean, it's not even his fault. Like both of Mbappe's goals were just,
No one could stop him.
nobody was stopping either of those goals. But yeah, he had a great tournament, and um,
Top tier keeper for
You could have
sure.
two keepers in goal and they're not stopping that shot from Mbappe.
yeah,
Are those? I mean, yeah. Aside from those shots, Chesney, like you said, played a fantastic game. Not just a game, but fantastic tournament, saving more than one penalty, which is not very common in a World Cup.
It's pretty much the reason
for
Poland
sure.
got in the round of 16 in the first place. So,
Yeah. And then yeah, I mean, just going back to France, I mean, they're just such a dangerous team, especially on the counter attack. Really hard to stop both their wingers, and it not only overwhelmed Chesney, but just our entire team in defense. And it was just a bit of a collapse, especially in the second half from us. And I just want to end off this game by saying one player on France who I think is extremely underrated right now is Griezmann. I mean, Griezmann, he looks like a brand new player when he plays for France.
It's like na-
It,
10. It's like he's a natural 10 now. He's actually in insane form.
yeah, he plays that 10 position so well. Whether that's creating quality chances, um, his even dropping back to on defense to help out on defense. Like he's just kind of all over the pitch, and it's not what you would expect from him right now. But he is kind of that underrated player for France that's getting unnoticed because of what Dembele and Mbappe and Giroud are doing right now. Like he's really holding this team together. So I think he's going to be a very important piece for them going forward in this World Cup.
yeah. Yeah, France just in a nutshell have a ton of absolutely ridiculous players, and they're going to be hard to beat. But the team that'll be in their way from the final four and from continuing to successfully defend their previous World Cup title is England. And England went up against Senegal and posted the only shutout, I believe, in this entire round of 16, with the exception of the 0-0 tie, which we'll get to later. But England held Senegal to 0 goals. Senegal did have a couple decent chances, but just couldn't crack that England defense. And Harry Kane finally gets his goal, and England just, put a stomp to Senegal. Is this what, you guys sort of expected from England, or was this kind of like a bit underwhelming from Senegal? Like, what did you take away from this game, you guys?
Yeah, I know Simon had England going through, which obviously was the right pick. I had Senegal here, and that was obviously the wrong pick. But for me, I didn't realize I should have realized this before I made these picks. But Senegal was actually missing their two starting center midfielders, and Idriss Gueye and Kouyaté. I don't think I would have picked Senegal if I knew that, because those two have played an instrumental piece for Senegal. I think Gaye missed out because of yellow cards, and then Kuyati was injured, or vice versa, whatever. It was something like that. And then obviously, Sadio Mane not coming back either. So, but yeah, missing their two starting midfielders was a big blow for them. But I gotta say, in this game, Senegal started out really strong. I mean, they came out
They did
firing.
halftime if they scored on, that would have been a completely different game, and it should have been a lot closer than it was.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
to, to play better than that, and they did. And it seems like after that goal, right before the halftime whistle, they lost
that
all their
hurt.
concentration. Yeah,
That
and
hurt.
it hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Senegal for me, they started the game out really strong. They with their high press, which actually caused England's backline multiple problems, and led to multiple chances for Senegal to get on the score sheet. But obviously, they failed to convert their chances. But yeah, like Simone said, when you were watching the game, you could hear the announcers saying how important it was for Senegal to get into halftime, just being 1-0 down. And then literally 10 seconds or so before the halftime whistle, just a beautiful counterattack by England. Phil Foden setting up Harry Kane for the just dagger strike right before halftime to go up 2-0. Yeah, I agree with Simone. That just really hurt Senegal's confidence and ability to play moving forward. But I just want to talk about England for a little bit here. What I really like about England right now is they don't need to play through Harry Kane anymore. Like as great of a striker as he is, um, it's not like Poland where I think they do need to play through Lewandowski. Here, they don't need to play through Harry Kane, as good as he is, because of how much talent is around him and how good these young wingers have been in this tournament for England. Um, I mean, you're talking about Saka and Foden and Rashford, and obviously Sterling was dealing with family matter and wasn't at this game, but he'll be back for the France game. He's dangerous as well. Um, but they just have so much young talent that can, you know, win the ball up high on the field with their pressure. They can beat you one on one. They can deliver good quality balls into the box. They can all finish. They just all have such smart IQs for football wingers being so young. Just very talented players. And that's really good for England, that they can, not everything needs to go through Kane now. They can spread the ball around, and uh, other people are scoring instead of Kane. It's good to see from England. I mean, they're so good on the break because of it, and very threatening down the wing. It just, when England are clicking, they're hard to stop. And when all the pieces are together and everyone's healthy, and they're a quality team. And just one more thing I want to bring up here about England. Man, Jude freaking Bellingham, man. He he is one of the best midfielders in the world right now. And I don't think that's an understatement. I mean, this guy is such an important piece for England. I mean, if you just watch him in that game, I mean, he got the assist for the Jordan Henderson goal. He was the one that created that second goal for Foden and Kane at the end of the first half. I mean, he put in a masterclass of a performance, and he looks extremely dangerous as a midfielder. I mean, the quality is there, the technical ability is there, the IQ is there, the decision making, the physicality. That's what you want in a midfielder, and he's going to be one of the best in the world. And it seems like he might be going to Liverpool, which I'm very upset about. But if he does, Liverpool got themselves a good midfielder.
I mean, the Southgate tactics that's the only good thing from it, is his positioning. When they start Henderson, they start him from the further back in the deeper position.
Yep.
So, um, Bellingham can go up and do his thing, and you can see it. Like, this guy has like crazy concept of where he is and where
Yeah,
his teammates are. It distributes left and right and can dribble, which you don't really see CDMs dribbling, but he's showing that he can play more than that like laid back position, and he can be involved in the attack, which is amazing to see.
for sure, man. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so England, with that extremely talented squad, defeat Senegal 3-0. And now, with one of the most anticipated quarterfinal matches, will go up against France. So that will be a game to watch for sure. Everyone will need to be on their A game for both teams. And
Yes,
man, who knows what will happen in that one.
that's
But
gonna be such a good game.
that will be
Can't wait.
that will be a fantastic game to check out. But we got 4 more games of the round of 16 to check out, and let's go through them. This next one, oh boy, this one really broke my heart. Like, absolutely. This one is Japan versus Croatia. And man, I don't know, guys. Japan is that team for me where it's like they're impossible to hate. They're just always fun to root for, despite like me having no affiliation towards Japan whatsoever. But they're just like, I feel like they're that team where like no one really affiliates Japan with like soccer or football because that's a South American and European sport, and even a little bit of Africa, but like no one really depicts like an East Asian country as like being that good at football. And Japan recently, these past few years, have been starting to get really, really good at the sport. And I don't know how you predicted, or you or Simone predicted this game to go down, but they really gave Croatia a run for their money, took it all the way to penalties, and they choked on penalties, unfortunately. So Croatia move on 3-1 on penalties, but the score was 1-1 headed into extra time, and no goals were scored in extra time. They took out Luka Modric from Croatia. He got subbed off in like the 98th minute or so, and still won regardless. Their Croatia's keeper did a really, really good job. So how do you analyze Japan? How do you analyze Croatia? How did you think this game went? Do you think the right team won? And yeah, what were your feelings about this one, both of you guys?
Um, yeah, I know everyone wanted Japan to win this game. Everyone loves Japan, including me. Um, I I will say though, to start, I not that I was rooting for Croatia, but I was okay with them winning this game because I mean, this is just my opinion. This is just what I feel. I've always been such a big Luka Modric fan, and I love watching him at the national team level. And if they lost this game, I think that was it for his career on Croatia, and that would have been really sad to see. I want to see him play another game. I just he's one of my all time favorite midfielders, Luka Modric. So for me, I am actually kind of glad Croatia won that game because I again love Japan. It would have been such a cool story, but um, I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do in his this game against Brazil. But anyways, getting back to the game itself here. Yeah, I mean Japan. Wow, they what a run, right? I mean, such a good run for Japan. It for me, it simply just came down to a. I know Simone stated this, I think, on a previous podcast about lack of experience when it comes to penalty shootouts, and that's ultimately what it did come down to, right? But yeah, I mean, right from the get go, Japan were oozing confidence. They were feeling so good about themselves. They were just relentless on the attack. They looked firm defensively. Um, they made such dangerous runs down the flanks, got plenty of players forward, created a plethora of chances, right? But they just failed to break that deadlock when it was 1-1. Perisic with a beautiful goal, by the way. Beautiful header goal. That was really nice. But Japan, man, one of the most exciting, energetic, fun teams to watch in this World Cup. And they'll be back. I think the future is bright for Japanese soccer. So that would be definitely fun to see. But yeah, whether it was inside the box, outside the box, set pieces, counterattacks, Japan just looked dangerous throughout the whole game, like they have this whole tournament. But for me, what Croatia did really well, and this comes down to that experience factor again, is they were able to stay disciplined in the back and in the midfield. And in those small key moments, um, they, their experience led them to do the right thing, which kept them in this game, kept it 1-1. And ultimately, that's what got them to penalty kicks, which was always going to favor Croatia. It would just always was. But let's not rule out Croatia's attack here either. I gotta say, Japan did have a couple of bad turnovers in the back, which did lead to a few Croatian counterattacks, which some came very close to finding the back of the net. Perisic and Modric had a couple of good chances outside the box. But yeah, I'm sure Simone will speak on it as well. But yeah, when it got to penalty kicks, for me, obviously you never know, right? But just because Croatia's been here before, they know what that shootout is like, that kind of pressure. They were the ones that were able to really capitalize on that, and Japan just they did fold a little bit under the pressure. Great saves by the Croatian keeper, and yeah, I don't want to say the better team went through, but I think, but definitely the more experienced and more disciplined team, I think, went through. But what a run for Japan, man.
Yeah. You said it all very well again. Um, I had a feeling that if this game went into extra time, it was going to come down to experience, and I'm pretty sure that I said it. If not, I was definitely thinking it. And I, I mean, I was kind of in the same boat as Gabe. I did want Japan to win the game. I think they're a very underrated team, and I've been following them since the World Cup qualifiers, and I've seen them beat teams like Myanmar like 14-0, and they have a very young and talented squad, and it was awesome to see them play before. Um, and despite how good they are, it was obvious that they still lack that experience, and I think this experience was a very good one. They got really far with a very young squad, very similar to the United States. So they are definitely a team to look out for in the next World Cup. But like, yeah, I mean, it came down to experience, and the Croatians had all of it. And you could see like all of the players when they walked up to the penalty spot, they looked nervous, except for that one guy that made it.
Mm.
And you just can't have that, especially at that stage in the tournament. So very sad. I wish Japan did go through. I think they have a very good counterattack, and they play very well off the
Yeah,
ball, which is not seen often from teams.
right.
It's not seen like if a team doesn't dominate possession, they're typically losing, and they don't have control of the game. But Japan is always in the game, even if they only have like 20% possession. So that's kind of why I want them to go through. I think that they probably had a better chance of beating Brazil, getting them out on the counterattack than Croatia did. Um, but either way, it was a great run, and I hope to see them in the next World Cup do just as well, or if not better.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for Japan's future, despite being, a little sad for them after their loss. But hey, Japan proved a lot of people wrong in this World Cup. No one had them getting out of the group, and they ended up
Yeah.
winning the group. So like that's
I let's just say that right here. I have them getting out of the group.
that's fair too, Steven. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You and me both. We had them going out of the group. I don't think we had them winning the group though. So that's the thing. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
good.
didn't have Japan getting out of the group. So
Yeah, so big credits to Japan. Japan needs to face tougher competition more regularly. It's sad that they're in facing Asian competition all the time. So they
yeah.
need to upgrade to better competition. But regardless, yeah, it'll be very exciting to see how Japan does in future international tournaments. And congrats to Croatia for going through. But this might be where the run ends, in my opinion, because this Brazil South Korea game, in my opinion, showed me that I think Brazil as a full team might be the scariest and might be the hardest to beat. I think, you got like Mbappe is probably the best striker currently in the World Cup right now, or the best goal scorer. Like England's probably got like the best like top three, and like obviously Portugal, like we'll talk about them soon enough, but they had like obviously the largest margin of victory in this round of 16. And there's a lot of good stuff about like all these teams, but like every single one of these teams that are currently left in the round of 8, I feel like, in my opinion, are somewhat beatable or have a chance to be beaten. But like Brazil, when they have their full A team in there and when they play their best football, it's hard for me to see any team that can beat them, at least in this stage, like currently. And they displayed that in full force, especially in that first half against South Korea. I don't know. You guys can feel free to disagree if you think Brazil like doesn't or won't like be guaranteed to win the World Cup or whatever, but they looked good. Is all I'm trying to say. They looked really good against South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, this was a footballing masterclass for Brazil. It really was. I mean, it showed me that Brazilian swagger again that this team possesses. And to me, I mean, if you if you ever played FIFA, if you ever played FIFA Ultimate Team, right?
Mm.
And you build like one of those really good god squads, just with 90 plus rated players at every position, and you're just outpacing, outskilling, and just outdoing your opponent the whole game.
With the
That
one exception, Rafinha, he has been absolute dog shit for Brazil.
okay? I guess. Sorry, Rafinha, you've been
He's been demoted.
yeah, you've been demoted. Nah, Rafinha hasn't been the best, but yeah, I mean that's what it's like, right? It reminded me so much like Brazil's like a FIFA team, man. They're like just so good. Um, I mean, they spread the ball so beautifully with their one touch passing combinations, and um, South Korea they just had no plan to defend this. Like
Mm.
there's just so much talent on Brazil. Like how do you stop it? You can't stop it all at once. It just comes at you so fast. They're really just a different breed, Brazil. I mean, there's something else out there. South Korea really had no chance here. They just didn't. I mean, they of course they have Son, great player, but uh, he's not going to be able to do much against this Brazil team. And he didn't even have the ball. South Korea didn't even have the ball that much.
Mm.
It just they couldn't really stop the beautiful play of Brazil. And just Neymar coming back was huge for them. He's such a good player for Brazil at that number 10 spot, and really helps create chances for them. And man, let me just say, Vinny Jr., man, this guy I think is going to be once Neymar steps down from this national team, he will be Brazil's next superstar. I mean, he's that next superstar in the making right now, and you can just see it. I mean, he's got Kylian Mbappe like tendencies, just can beat you on the ball one on one off the dribble. I mean, his pace is incredible. His eye for goal incredible as well. Such a good player. And Brazil just has talent all around, but this kid's something special. So, yeah, just absolute masterclass for Brazil here. No chance for South Korea. They drew the worst matchup they probably could have gotten in getting out of that group, right?
Mm.
But yeah, congrats to Brazil. It's gonna be hard to stop them. Any team left here.
How do you feel about your South
Yeah,
American brethren, Simone?
unfortunately, there wasn't really a chance for South Korea, and when they did get the chances, they did miss quite a few of them. They could have left that game at 3-4 if they scored those three or two opportunities that were so clear.
Mm.
I feel like that's just a reoccurring topic with teams that get knocked out, is that they just can't finish their chances. And don't get me wrong, Brazil completely dominated that game, but there were a few chances that could have at least lessened the blow for South Korea. And it could have been a little bit closer than the game was. Um, Aside from that, I mean, Brazil, they're just showing time and time again that they're such a deadly team, like Seth said. And even though they lost in the group stage that last day, like that wasn't their starting team. And once they put that starting team back in, like it was back to like 101%. Um, they're all insane, very good players, very good, not only like attacking and, with positioning and just like awareness, their defense. Like that's one thing that like a lot of teams struggle with, especially like we were talking about earlier, France. France does not have the best defense at the moment. It's nothing compared to what they had in the 2018 World Cup. Yet Brazil somehow has it. I mean, they have some of the best defenders in the world, not just a good defense, some of the best defenders in the world that are also extremely good at club level. And not only that, like they have good support systems too. They have a very good center defensive mid in Casemiro, who is literally a monster and very hard to keep the ball from. So
Don't
yeah,
forget
it was
about
just
Fred.
yeah,
Hey, don't laugh at Fred, man. Come on, it's my guy.
yeah. No, he's not bad. He's not bad. And if that's your worst player, if Fred is your worst player, you have a good team. So,
Yeah.
That's
yeah, I
fair.
mean, Brazil is definitely a scary team, and whoever they face up against in this World Cup in future rounds, it's going to be a challenge no matter what. So,
Well, they're going up against
uh,
Croatia next, and it's going to be the first thing in the
yeah,
morning. So we will see if Croatia has any response to Brazil's relentless attack. But yeah. So that's gonna do it for group for that matchup. We have two more to go through in the round of 16, and these were two very shocking matchups for two very different reasons. This first one, Morocco going up against Spain, and Spain, oh my lord, again for the second World Cup in a row, takes it to penalties when it probably shouldn't have, and then loses in just the most unfortunate fashion. I mean, Morocco's keeper on that penalties was just kind of a baller. Like he stopped everything, did not let a single Spain penalty in, despite reports saying Spain's coach forced him to do 1,000 penalties in practice. Blah 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 blah. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, what was the game like for you and Simone? Just watching it, reflecting upon it, reacting to it. Like it was a 0-0 game. So many chances, probably on both sides. Maybe more Spain chances than Morocco chances, but the ultimate fact of the matter is no goals got in during the entire 120 minutes, and it had to come down to penalties, and Morocco was the team that showed up. So like how did this happen? And from before we started predicting the World Cup, does this kind of shock you that out of all the African teams that could have made it to the round of 8 or the quarterfinals, that Morocco is that team?
No.
before anything, I just want to say that before the World Cup started, I think that we both didn't rate Morocco high enough. But after watching the games, I think Steph and I both had Morocco winning this game against Spain. Um,
Mm.
so initially, I don't think enough credit, but once we saw what they're capable of, I think we gave them more than enough, and rightly so because of how well they've been playing. That's just what I wanted to say before we started the rest of this discussion
No, that's fair. That's fair.
really quick.
Yeah, Morocco have looked fantastic. They've blew expectations out of the water.
Yeah, I mean they really did. Yeah, Simon's right. Definitely didn't give Morocco enough credit heading into this World Cup. But we both did have Morocco winning this game, and there's a reason for that. Um, not not because we were going for some crazy upset or something. And no. Morocco were and they still are the hottest team in my opinion at this World Cup. I mean, top in their group. They looked so good in the group stage in all three games. And Spain in their last group stage game against Japan looked pretty poor to me. So this, it's obviously it's always going to be surprising, right? But it it's not too surprising because this is something that we did see as a very likely possibility. I mean, Spain. I don't know why Spain's been doing this. They did it in the game against Japan too, but I mean they had most of the possession. They really. I think it was like 75% possession. Spain. I think they almost completed like 1,000 passes in that game. But what is that gonna do? Like they're just once again just like the Japan game, they were just really passing it in the back throughout the midfield so much. And I will admit I think Spain was definitely a little bit better in this game with their possession as they created more chances than they did in that Japan game. I think they were, pushing the ball forward a little bit more, but still wasn't enough. I mean, their chances were dangerous, but they didn't create enough of them. And in my opinion, I've never been a fan of. I've been a big fan of the Spain midfield, right? But I've never been a fan of their front line. I've just always thought it's an average front line. I mean, Danny Olmo's decent. Ferran Torres is all right, and Asensio and Murata, they're all right as well. Like they don't have that superstar leading the front line who's gonna be scoring you 2, 3 goals a game, right? That's where their problem is. Too many missed chances from the front line. Good amount of chances created, but um, just couldn't capitalize on them. And credit to Morocco too for you know holding themselves together defensively. Um, and yeah, Morocco had a really good amount of chances too, right? I mean, they were super dangerous on the counterattacks as they have been this whole World Cup. They fought really hard in this game. They were super composed. I thought they were well balanced in all phases of the game. Once again, their passing just beautiful to watch. Once again, their ability to switch the field. Um, Again, super dangerous on set pieces. Hakimi with that left foot, always dangerous, putting in good balls. This Moroccan team is scary, and they showed Spain why. Obviously, none of them could really break the deadlock, but that then resulted in this game going to penalties, right? And um, Spain choked. I mean, just I think it was Sarabia, Soler, and Busquets. I think those were the three that missed all three in a row. It didn't look like there was confidence in any of them when they stepped up to take that kick. They were just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like here we go, shootout. Like they didn't look ready. They didn't look focused. They kind of just kicked it, right? And that's what happens, that's what happens when you don't walk up to that spot with confidence. Representing such a big country of Spain, you should be. And like you said as well at the start, big credit to the Moroccan goalkeeper. I mean, he made 3 really good saves. And then obviously Hakimi to end it um, with the little Panenka chip there down the middle, and then doing the little penguin dance at the end, which is funny reference to Sergio Ramos, because that's the dance that he does with Sergio Ramos at PSG. Kind of a throwback at Luis Enrique, the Spain coach, basically saying this is what you get for not taking Sergio Ramos to the World Cup, which is something I know Simone and I talked about like at the initial
when it started.
World Cup, is we couldn't believe that they didn't take David De Gea or Sergio Ramos, and yeah, Hakimi showed them why they should have, and I think he's right. So yeah, I think Morocco did deserve to go through, and I'm glad they did. It's always good to see an underdog do it. So yeah, very very
I
good
think we both
to see this.
if I think we both said that if Thiago and Ramos were chosen for this
Thiago
lineup,
as
they would have
well.
scored.
Yep.
They would have scored their penalties, and Spain would have had a better chance. And it was disappointing to see Sergio Ramos miss that. Or not Ramos, sorry, Busquets. I mean, this guy's a veteran. He's been playing at the highest level for such time, considered one of the best midfielders of all time, and he can't score a crucial penalty to keep your team in the game. That was just ridiculous. And it wasn't even a shot. It was not a good shot at all.
Yep.
But aside from that, adding on to the Hakimi thing, I mean, Spain wanted him to play for them because he could have. His mother was some kind of maid, and I guess his father also was had a low income job there. They were treated all difficult. They were treated poorly, by Spain because of how rough their conditions were, and he got revenge for his family, which was fantastic to see.
Nice.
Yeah, very
like that.
very good storylines in that matchup entirely. But Morocco ultimately advanced to the round of 8, the first African nation to do so since 2010. And will it be the year? Will it be the year that an African nation finally gets to the semifinals? We'll just have to wait and see. But in their way is one Portuguese squad with Cristiano Ronaldo either starting or on the bench. Doesn't really matter. I mean, he's doing both these days. But regardless, Portugal now, man, Seth, you and I think Simona as well. I mean, you guys, I would probably, if I were making predictions, I would probably do the same. But like y'all were like, man, Switzerland, they're gonna keep it close. It's gonna be a near real like drag. Like it's gonna be a closer. It's gonna be a hard fought battle. Portugal might escape barely with their lives on this one. And boy, the three of us were just all proven well beyond wrong. Like it wasn't even close. They were talking. The announcers were talking about how there was one Nations League game back in June where Portugal and Switzerland, because they were in the same group, Portugal dominated Switzerland like 4-0 or something. This was pretty much shades of that game. And you had a
Was
brand new player on your team that I forgot the name of. It's something Ramos, Gonzalo Ramos, score the first hat trick in this World Cup in Ronaldo's place, and like Portugal put on a show. How do you feel? How do you guys take Portugal? Are they looking pretty good at the right time in this World Cup?
Yeah, Portugal look incredible right now. Their form is really good, and yeah, Gonzalo Ramos, he's that guy, man. He is that guy, the hat trick hero coming on for Ronaldo, who sat on the bench after having a bad attitude in the South Korea game, and rightly so. I can tell you that this kid's price tag just shot up big time, and um, I believe he currently is like the top scorer in the Portuguese league. I don't know I can't remember what club he plays for, but he's gonna be making a big money move right after this World Cup for sure. I mean, all three of his goals were beautiful. I mean, he brought like a different type of energy at that striker spot that Ronaldo just. I mean, you can't blame him because he's getting pretty old, but he just hasn't really brought that Ronaldo. Um, but yeah, I mean, Portugal looked really good, super threatening every time they were on the ball. And it seemed like they were able to get every player involved in their attack. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, um, Joao Felix, when Rafael Leao came on, even Rafael Guerrero from the left back spot coming up, Otavio, like they were getting the whole team involved in their attacks, crisscrossing runs, dangerous runs on the flanks, good runs into the box. I mean, this Portuguese team has talent everywhere, and they looked super super good, amazing all around the pitch. Defense was good. Pepe getting a goal as well with a beautiful header goal. Um, and they were just frustrating Switzerland all day. They really were. Switzerland wasn't able to get anything going. Portuguese defense was solid. Um, Portugal, unlike a lot of teams in this World Cup, finished their chances and finished them really well. In style, they were very creative, both out wide and in the middle of the pitch. Um, Bruno Fernandes, man, my guy. I mean, I could be a little biased saying this as a Man U fan, but man, he is a different animal on Portugal, man. He just plays differently, and he really creates such good chances for this team, and is a strong number 10 for us. So hopefully he keeps up that good form when he comes back to us. But yeah, everything was clicking for Portugal. Such a dangerous attack. Plenty of options to lean on, but yeah, they looked really good. And I just wanted to close this out by asking you, Simone, a quick little question here. Um, Obviously, Ronaldo got benched in this game after his attitude in the South Korea game. And Gonzalo Ramos, he comes on, scores a hat trick in his place. Um, my question for you, man, is do you think Ronaldo's place in the Portuguese starting lineup is in jeopardy? What do you think?
Well, before answering that, I wanted to make sure. I'm pretty sure I saw a statement that said that Ronaldo was not benched for any disciplinary reasons. He was only benched because of the tactics that the manager wanted to run for that particular game. Did you see
I,
anything that like clearly stated that he was benched because of that South Korea game?
I did see that post too, but I don't know how much I believe in that. I just I don't know. Like I know Fernando Santos was upset after Ronaldo's reaction in that Korea game, and I find it so hard to believe that in a crucial round of 16 game, you're gonna start. I mean, obviously it paid off, right? You're gonna start Gonzalo Ramos, somebody who I think only
Well,
had like 3 or 4 caps over. I know Ronaldo hasn't been in the best form, but that's your guy, and like,
well, that's exactly what I think. That's the reason he did it. The reason I don't see it as an issue with Ronaldo particularly, like I don't see it as disciplinary, is particularly because first of all, we've known that Ronaldo he hasn't been in great form this World Cup. He's definitely not been in good form. And because of this, I feel like Switzerland was preparing for a Ronaldo attack. They were preparing, they were watching matches, they were watching highlights, they were watching all these clips of Ronaldo and how to defend against him, like what he tended to do in games. And they didn't expect Ramos to be in the starting lineup. So that completely changed everything because he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't start for like many games for Portugal. This was his third or fourth international cap. But aside from that, he's been very good at a club level. And I mean, it showed his class was impeccable. He was an amazing forward in that game, and because of that, I think that even if it was purely a um, tactical decision to put someone brand new in, I think you're completely right, and I think that because of that hat trick, Ronaldo's you know um, starting lineup spot is definitely in jeopardy because if that guy didn't get a hat trick or at least score a goal, if Ramos didn't score a goal or do as well as he did, I think that Ronaldo would have definitely been back for the next game. But because it was a bit of a hail mary, it was a big risk, like you said,
right,
because we don't know how players play completely differently as we've seen at the international level versus club. And even though Ramos is a great club player, I mean, he showed that he's an amazing, international player. So
right.
because of that, I have to agree with what you said, and I agree. I think that he definitely is in jeopardy.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point about the tactics actually, and now that I was just sitting here thinking about it for a little bit, you could be right about that actually because y- we're forgetting too that behind Cristiano Ronaldo is Andre Silva. And you would think if Ronaldo got benched, they would have just played Andre Silva, who has quite a few caps and who they've relied on in the past. But it makes sense if for a tactical reason they wanted somebody that brought something different than Silva or Ronaldo, who they're used to. So, um, and obviously that it worked. That proved to be the right decision. So, um, yeah, either way, it worked. And Gonzalo Ramos, watch out for this kid. He looks good.
Yeah, that he, Gonzalo Ramos is the man. He did it in this World Cup. Got the hat trick, and Portugal just destroys Switzerland 6 to
Yeah,
1, which
they
it's
look good.
upsetting for Switzerland
They look really good.
because they Switzerland looked good in their 3-2 victory over Serbia, but then everything just did not go their way against
Yeah,
Portugal
just couldn't get
whatsoever.
it going.
So to recap for the quarterfinals, which we will talk about in a future episode, which will probably be uploaded very shortly, if not immediately after this one, we have Croatia versus Brazil first thing in the morning, then Argentina versus the Netherlands a couple hours after that. The winners of those two games face each other in the semifinals. And then the next day, on December 10th, we have Morocco versus Portugal early in the morning. That's a storyliner for sure that we will talk about in the next episode. Do we want Morocco to go through, or do we want Ronaldo and Portugal to go through the semis? That's one to talk about. And then, of course, the battle of the behemoths of Europe, England and France. What's going to happen in that quarterfinal matchup? So Saturday's looking good. Friday is looking good for South American teams as well. So those are four matchups to get super excited for. And yeah, any last words on you guys before we close out this round of 16 recap edition of the podcast?
Yeah, I actually want to add one quick thing. I completely forgot that we were talking about the game because I was so focused on Seth's question that I didn't even get to address the game. I just wanted to say that I was expecting a way stronger Switzerland side. I mean, they literally beat the World Cup champions in the Euros. They, came back from a 3-1 um, goal difference,
Yeah,
and I had for Switzerland. Like, I wanted Portugal to win, but I did not rule Switzerland out. But wow, Portugal was just a different breed in that game. Um, And like I said, I mean, Switzerland put up some very good fights in their groups, and they won a crazy game against Serbia to make their own team. So I was expecting a lot from them, and just that dominance from Portugal was insane. And they've definitely moved up a tier in my list, because I didn't have Portugal that high, especially with the Ronaldo performances lately. But because of that game, like, they are a serious contender for this World Cup now.
Yeah, I think that game in general will actually bump Portugal up closer to the top 5 maybe of the FIFA World Cup rankings. So we'll see when it updates in January or something. We will see where they get placed and where all the other teams get placed. But regardless, Seth, you got any last words before we move on?
No, I'm just really excited for the quarterfinals. These all should be really good games.
We are all very excited for the quarter.
I cannot wait.
I know. Neither of us can wait, and it's going to be a great 4 games to watch for sure. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Squad Goals podcast. Seth and Simone, our co-stars. I am your host, Gabe Lerziak, and this is the round of 16 recap edition of the Squad Goals podcast. We will be right back at you in just a little bit, like almost immediately, with the round of 8 predictions, the quarterfinal predictions, to see who we believe will be heading into the semifinals of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Stay with us. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys real soon. Peace.